What's up, Henry?
It's good to see you.
Oh, good to see you. I feel dark over here. It's because it's all rainy and gross, and
Yeah.
then now it's like I'm all shadowy. Let me
Yeah,
turn the
yeah,
lights off. Let me see if that changes something.
Okay. Oh, I thought it had
I
the
don't
opposite
know.
effect.
Is
I
that
don't know. It's hard.
worse? It's just terrible lighting. How do you have such good lighting? What are you doing?
I got a combination of ceiling lights and lamps and the outside.
Yeah, I got like 2 new monitors, so it's like blocking my actual.
Figuring out your desk setup takes forever. Forever.
I don't want to yank something out. Oh yeah. Oops. Hold on. Okay, there. That's better. Let's see. Now, if I get closer, maybe. See? Oh, if I could just I'll keep my finger there, and then it will lighten up my face. Oh, I know why. I'll do something. Let's try this. Why am I spending hours just trying to get my face right? It's too late. It's like I can't do much.
It's the actor in you.
I know. I just want to try to get it perfect. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, let's talk. Let's talk today. What should we discuss today? I think we had an it's in the title.
Yeah, Mia set up the 2 million in 20 minutes, and this is really your this is one of your big wins with Easy, and I guess a lot of what you've done with a lot of what he's done is what Kued is doing on the service side. So the technology is a thing, but a lot of the service and tweaks and strategy and setup is really what Kued's doing. So it's kind of an interesting crossover from that. So excited to hear and talk through this so people can understand. It's not like $2 million was immediate. Let's put that disclaimer. $2 million wasn't immediately generated directly in 20 minutes, but it took a 20-minute video to help a company generate 2 million in revenue.
Yes.
It's fair enough.
Yes. So the idea, how it works. So this is obviously one of my customers / clients came through EasyWebinar, was using the system or got the system, then really didn't have a plan of action around executing a way to adopt better sales and marketing, adopt better customer acquisition and everything else. So we talked to him, and he's a financial advisor, and we are like, well, who do you want to target? And he was like, basically, I want to target IBM employees with 401k plans. And so we said, that sounds great. And we worked with him to basically build one webinar experience with all the pages of a webinar, right? Which are the registration page, the thank you page, the waiting for the event page, and then the event page and a replay page and follow-up emails and everything else. So we took all of that experience and put it into one very cohesive, pinpointed thing that we built, and then basically we we created that cohesive experience from the ad to the registration page, or the registration to the thank you page, and all the way through. And once we did, and we targeted that correct audience, that right audience, he went from having a really hard time prospecting for these. He didn't know where to find them. He didn't know what to, where to start. But after we, created a Facebook, created a Facebook ad that was directly targeting IBM employees. Then his video was found in front of those specific audiences, and they were just signing up, and a lot of them, they loved I mean, initially, right out of the gate, the video talked about it. It talked about his why his why he was the solution, and what they were needing, what their problems were and how he was going to solve their problems, right? Like, hey, are
Right.
you a 401 IBM employee with a 401k that's been struggling, that's concerned about, is there going to be, is your money safe, depending on if there's a recession or not, da, 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 da.
Right.
Come to this workshop. I'm going to show you how to protect your money, and how to manage it in the right way, type of thing. And people, it was the problem. He knew the problem that they were concerned
Right.
about. He knew what their fears were, and he talked about how he can solve those. And we helped him kind of create that.
What would you say?
Yeah.
What when you so when you're talking through this, right? A lot of people, when you're talking about the physical inputs of what it takes to actually have that type of success, the one thing that I've noticed that you're talking about is he was super clear out the gate of exactly who he was going for and what was a specific problem that he was solving, and he was directly communicating that. So when someone saw his ad, there's no question about who he wanted to serve and the problem that he solved. So would you say that that was the main driver for his success?
Yes. I mean, that initial part that hooked them in, because it, the everything in the video was intended to say, call out IBM employees, right? So
Right.
he had like a big board that had, like, are you a IBM employee with a 401k plan, and
Right.
so it's like they saw that, and then while they're going through, it's like, oh, this guy's talking to me directly. So whether
Right.
they were existing IBM employees or past IBM employees, it was he was getting in front of them. And then from that experience, they were of course signing up to this workshop, where on the thank you page, he even had a video that then had like some sort of call to action, like almost like doing an audit
Okay.
early. So he was getting people that would book in his
That's interesting.
calendar before the webinar even started. And then, part of the assignment would be go to the webinar,
So he
watch the
qualifies.
webinar, and then let's do a second follow-up call to do
Yeah.
to finish the audit. So it was almost like this two-step experience, which I think was really important, and I think was an awesome add-on. It's like calling your people that are signing up before,
Right.
they actually show up,
Right.
and of course, by the time all that's said and done, after the first conversation, the webinar experience, setting up the second call, they're really indoctrinated and ready to go,
Right.
so that's the
Gotcha.
flow, that's what happens,
So if
and
I'm,
how, yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead. That's how what?
No, that's why it worked. So,
So if you're a visual learner, let me
mhm.
pull out a chart here. Let's see if for us visual learners, if you were to, would you, so the flow of what you created, right? So you had an ad. Maybe I'll put this in a slideshow mode to help make it a little bit bigger. So if you had an ad, you had an ad that was going directly to like a sign up page, right? That though this was like the webinar registration page. So you're saying, if you're an IBM employee, you need to see this, and then they would click on that, and then they would hit like a sign up page like this, correct?
Yep. Yeah, they would go from the reg page to the webinar thank you page that also had a video that had a call
Okay.
to action in the video itself.
Okay.
And then they would get emails prior to the event starting, indoctrination pages.
Right.
They're more like emails, like we
Okay.
didn't necessarily say send them out to a different video page. And that is something we've done before for other people, where it's like, hey, we go to this one page where you share one of your 3 shifts that you talk about in your webinar, that goes to that particular video that talks about that particular shift, right? And all this stuff is intended to create a better sales experience. It's all intended to do the heavy lifting of sales and marketing. So, but all we did is he had 3 emails that framed why they need to show up. Whether, there was maybe a case study type of thing in there, or, something that preceded why they need to be there. That's kind of what those emails were. And then they showed up to the webinar. And if they didn't show up, they would obviously get replay email notifications as well, follow-up funnels, follow-up emails, whether they did show up or not, whether they, took action or not, they would get those emails.
Okay. So you're taking them from an ad platform to your own ecosystem. You're collecting their information. You can directly communicate with them now. So you're doing these email campaigns, and you're preceding and qualifying people all throughout the process before they actually show up to the room. So by the time they get on here, they're pretty qualified. And then that's kind of the simple, call it 3 to 4 steps that you're taking to take them from seeing you on Facebook to becoming a customer. Was that
exactly?
Yeah, it's great.
And it was not that long of a process.
Right. Right. That's cool. That's very cool. Yeah. I mean, that's a game changer. And we've been talking about, owning and controlling your ecosystem and building your email lists. And it's like, if you're not collecting their email and you're not directly communicating with them and they're falling off, it's like, what are you doing? And I think that, and it's not like what you're doing as far as driving ads is super complex. You're just so clear on the messaging. You didn't have to spend $10,000 to design a page. You knew that you're going for people on Facebook. You knew those people were going to sign up. You knew exactly the information that you needed from them. And then that magically turned into all his revenue for him. And I would say that's the importance with clarity of the messaging, because and we've found this after working with clients all the time, is like, if you don't know exactly who you're going for and what the problem is that you're solving, and you can't clearly identify that within your marketing message, it's just going to cost you a lot of money. That's and from this standpoint, I'm sure this client of yours would have spent 4 or 5 times the amount for a lead, but he didn't have to, because he was so specific with it, that's kind of the takeaway I got from all that.
Yeah. When you're very specific about, about who you're targeting, you do the work of the ICP work in a really strong way, in a really clear, concise way. And you understand, what their actual concerns are.
Right.
You're just going to do, you're going to do way better. So it's like a little prep work, obviously. There was prep work. It was a lot of prep work, but that's the kind of work that needs to get done, is the prep work, where we dig in and from the prep work, this is where all this stuff kind of the magic kind of happens from that,
Yeah. So
So
there was a question that just came in about like not knowing, like, what if you don't know your audience? How do you identify that? How do you figure out what's the specific problem that you're solving for your audience? Like, what is that, right? And so I think it's a good question, because when people are trying to identify who they're serving, right? And you said there's a lot of prep work. Like, what would be that thing that you would start with?
yeah, I think that so let's see. So when you're trying to come up with first, you want to think about your your niche audience, right? Like who are you already serving? I think if you don't quite know who you're serving, you should do a survey of who you're serving, or look and say, these are the top 5 industries that I'm serving. Oh, I'm talking to financial advisors. I'm talking to, coaches and consultants. I'm talking to course creators. Like, who are you already talking to? So find that out. Obviously all this is information that is available to you. That's the thing. Most people don't realize that this is stuff available to them, and they could be asking questions. They could be asking their audience how, what their biggest problems are as it relates to growing their business, or as it relates to doing X, Y, and Z. And that can all feed into what, how you can, how you can figure out your ideal customer, and then figuring out their biggest problems, right? Like, you have to then put yourself in their shoes and find out, and discover what their biggest concerns and issues are, and so, yeah, I'd say survey the source. Basically, survey your people. That's going to give you a clearer picture of how to come up with that. And then, you're always going to have to sort of like think of the biggest problem, and how one problem creates another problem, right? So it's like, when we talk about how a tool or a platform can solve a solution, we talk about the benefit of the benefit. So by using this tool and this benefit of this tool, there's a bigger benefit of maybe you have more time and freedom in your life, right? Or more revenue in your business means more relaxation and less stress, right? So it's like, in the same way, think about what is how someone has this problem. It could be whether it's revenue or something, some sort of thing, but that problem creates a bigger problem. And so it's like, you have to understand how the problems that they're experiencing causes even deeper problems, and how you can obviously then correlate what you do in your program and what you can help them with solving that bigger emotional problem, right? So think of it almost like, what's the action problem, or what's the thing that occurs, and then what's the byproduct problem that is made the main problem from that thing not happening, right? Or that kind of first tier problem. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like,
I'm thinking about it in like a real life example, and especially when you're talking about like, surveying and finding like who the right audience is, and who's your ideal customer. And even if you don't have a customer base, or you haven't worked with people and you're just getting started, there's so much information online. You can literally go to Quora, you can go to LinkedIn, you can go to Twitter, and you can actually see what are the questions that people are asking online. You can go to Reddit, you can go to spyfoo.com, right? There's all these different places where you can actually see what are the questions people are asking, what are they searching in Google. So that will help solve that one issue. But then you're talking about finding what's the problem and then the byproduct. So, people go online and they're like, well, how do I make money online? How do I make how do I make $10,000 a month, or whatever it is? And the byproduct of that is, how am I able to not wake up and be stressed, at the first of every single month, because I have more consistency and I have a clear path of lead gen within the business, and a clear path to lead generation helps my home life, and I'm able to get more sleep because of it. So that's kind of like the product and the byproduct, I think, that you're talking about, right? When it comes to clearing your
exactly.
marketing.
Yeah, exactly. So yes. So like, I have a problem. Yeah. Like, I have a problem with, so the person with the 401k issue, I'm concerned that another, that my 401k will go down 30% because I'll hit another recession.
Right.
And then that's the baseline problem. the fundamental problem of that is that I have no security net. I'm getting older. I'm going to have to now try to figure out how to work more or live on a budget. And that's stressful. I can't, that means I'm not leaving anything to my kids. Like all the byproducts of the fundamental problem that is going to occur. And that's the thing that your thing solves, right? Your thing solves the big problem of, here's how we're going to prevent you from losing 30% of your 401k. This is how I'm going to do it. Right. And by doing this, this is going to stop you from having all these other problems as a byproduct, which those are the emotional problems, which are, fundamentally the big reasons as to why someone will do this. Right. Like it's focusing on both of those, right? It's focusing on both. Like, hey, I'm going to show you how you can not, how you can potentially not lose 30% of your retirement. Obviously, if you lose 30% of your retirement, these are the feelings you're going to have. So, I mean, it's pretty simple, but
just don't put that's kind of like money in the. I was going to say, don't put your money in the Silicon Bank. Did you hear about all that?
In the wait, what? Put your money in the what?
About the I think it was Silicon Valley, was it SoftBank where the FDIC took over today?
Oh no, I didn't. No, I haven't even checked any news today. What happened?
Wait. This is I need to get super clear on which one this happened for, because I want to get the name right before I speak. Okay. Whatever was it? I was just reading about it. Okay, so Silicon Valley Bank, largest failure since the financial crisis, is the headline on Yahoo Finance. So we can talk about that after. Do you want to move into that real quick? Because I don't know if you didn't hear about it. It's crazy. So
yeah, tell me what happened. Yeah, go ahead.
In short, I'll find a simple way to put it. If you got $10 million or whatever in a bank, right? 250,000 is secured by the FDIC. It's up to the bank with however else they're gonna invest it. 87% of their money was not insured by the FDIC that was actually being managed. And they put that, and because of what's been going on with inflation, and most of their money was into the government bonds, and they had to go sell the bonds because the rates were going up. They took a $1.8 billion loss, which is basically a full year of revenue for the company. So now all these people who had, 10 million, 5 million, whatever, anything over 250 grand in the bank, that all these venture capital companies and funds tell them and their clients to put money in, are all held up and they can't get access to it.
Whoa. So no one can get access, so that no one's buying anything right now then, because they can't.
They stopped trading
that.
They can't trade in the public markets anymore. They took it over.
Oh my God.
It's like,
what's that doing to the stock market?
The downward impact of tech companies because of that's going to be really ugly.
Whiffed. Wow.
And VC funds.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's like 2008, like, getting bailed out by the, big banks getting bailed out by the government happening just specifically in the tech space.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's some, I mean, obviously being small tech founders, it's like, hopefully we won't feel that, as, obviously that's
fine.
For the big guys, right?
Yeah.
We're not VC backed, right? Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyways. Yeah. So I hope that, as far as the, going back to the case study stuff, feel like we added a lot of clarity on honing down your messaging, your targeting, and the whole idea is not to get over complicated with the tech stuff. And I think that's what people do. They get so hung up with all the other design and tech, and it's just like, you're putting something out there, do that, get feedback, and then make improvements. But I think what everything that you were talking about was really around messaging and not all the other stuff. And that was my big takeaway with your 2 million and 20-minute case study for to put a bow on it.
Yeah. I think it's about again, having the continuity all the way through, looking at the front, the top of the funnel, and being able to assess the problem, and then expounding on that problem throughout the funnel into a shorter webinar. The webinar was only, as I said, 20 minutes long.
Right.
And it was able to, attract and qualify. But the qualifications didn't just happen from the webinar. It was all the steps that did every, every step had its own unique part to indoctrinate somebody in, so yeah.
Mini steps. You gotta be thoughtful with it. That's for sure. It's hard.
Yeah. But I mean, once you say, okay, this is the framework I'm going to use, I'm going to use a webinar framework, done and done. Then now it's just a question of rinse and repeat that whole same flow. You just showed it, the, what you're doing in all the steps, what you have to do. And once you know what you have to do, there's a specific script that goes out to try to get somebody in. There's they sign up for the webinar. There's a thank you page video encouraging them to show up to the workshop and why. There's maybe a call to action there. And then the webinar, is the heavy lifter, and that, you can see what they're doing. Now there's other micro things that you could do on top of that to increase conversions, but the end of the day, you need to start with that framework, the fundamentals of the framework, and then, go from there. So
100%.
Yeah.
So
cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else that we missed for the 2 million in 20 minutes, or you think we kind of covered it? Anything else you want to chat about?
Well, I know that his he was able to land a customer who had a $2 million asset, and he was able to basically, he was managing that guy's money, and he sold them into a continuity program on a monthly basis to do beyond management. It was also like, I'll give you updates on a monthly basis on what's happening in the market or something. So we got him even into some sort of like newsletter continuity thing, which I thought was really an interesting thing as well, beyond just like managing his money and getting a percentage of that, of course, through just managing his money. So I thought that was a really interesting use case for financial person. And I think all of that was, he was still, it was obviously, the financial services, industry is heavily regulated, and he was still within those regulation parameters. So he wasn't like violating anything.
Right.
Which is good.
You have
to also stay mindful of that. And he was very mindful. Like, he didn't promise anything, he wasn't saying, oh, you're going to get this or that, or I can make sure or guarantee. Yeah. Like we had to work pretty hard on making sure it was, that every regulation was also
so compliant.
Considered. Yeah. We had to be needed to be very compliant. So, so we took him through that experience, and that's, we were able to still do that, even, from the copy on the pages, the video, and what they can and cannot say, so it's doable, especially for highly regulated industries. It's still doable. You just have to be more mindful about those regulations.
Yeah, it just takes time, and that's like, you have to just follow the process and want to actually follow the process, right? Because if you're not gonna do it, then it's just not what I mean. You're just gonna go from shiny object to another shiny object, and it's and that's kind of what we were talking about even before we jumped on here. You just have to be so methodical with all these little things, and it's just all these mini steps along the way, and that's what's going to make the change. If you continue to do that.
I mean, I look at it like it's just this level of mastery that you have to allow yourself to do, and not and just step by step it,
Right.
And obviously when you work with somebody and you work with a team that can do that, and you work with somebody who can kind of hold your hand in that process, it's a lot easier, because you're putting a level of faith in them to be able to pull that out of you, and then apply it, and then move to the second step, and kind of go through work on the project together, instead of trying to do all of it yourself, which doing it yourself, sometimes, if you're so close to something, you don't see you're too close, you just can't see the big vision for it, or you can't see, you have the idea, but then you may need someone to like finish the rest of the race, so to speak. Right. And so, I think that, this, and Henry's right. Just like, you just take step by step. It doesn't have to be, all that, all that work, that the cathartic, thing of you just talking to your audience. Like it's like it's the work that where you have to sit down or stand up at your standing desk or whatever, and talk it through, bullet it out, and get clear. And that's why having a mentor to get clear, or people that you work directly with to get clear, is such a valuable thing. What's up, Richard? So that was a really good case study for us, because it also showed that, like, when you dig deep and you do a lot of preparation, and then you launch, it could be a very short time where you'll see success. Like, it's like that. We worked on it for probably 2.5, 3 weeks, right? And maybe even more, because we had to make videos and send in videos and edit videos. Yeah. And then after that, it was like a launched, and a week after it launched, like, it was like, or no, it was a couple days after he launched that did we see this flow. Like, it's like turning on a faucet. It was like instantly we started seeing people signing up, and then that prospect came in probably on day 2, and he closed him, within probably a week after that. So, but all the pieces were already there. Yeah.
It's a product market fit. All right. That's cool. That's very cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I was going to say something, and I totally forgot, but I thought it was about what you were doing with him. Never. Yeah, it'll come to me later. Oh, well.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. No problem. Yeah. Let me know when.
Anyways. Yeah, no, well, I appreciate you sharing that case study. Oh, actually, it just came to me. There was someone, as you were talking about, like, making these little changes across, I just got off the phone with someone right before we started doing this, where he's spending $2,500 to $4,500 a day on a ad to a webinar, and he's selling $5,000 programs, and he's acquiring a client at, under that, and he's doing great. And it's very simple, it's very straightforward what he's doing, but he wants to just have someone go and just test against what he's currently doing, just on the acquisition side. So just on, like, the webinar registration page, and just on the sales page, he's like, if you can just make improvements on these 2 areas, I'll immediately get an ROI, and then we'll continue to grow and help and do other things. But again, it's just making, like, make tweaks on 2 pages that become super high value, because he already has that product market fit. And that's the, that it's so powerful. It's just so powerful when you think about this stuff at scale.
Yeah, when you can, yeah, and it's those micro changes.
Yeah.
It's like that. Once once you have the foundation, you can make these micro changes that create 1%, 2% conversion differences or changes, which end up being like that's $300,000 to $500,000 in
Right.
maybe additional revenue
Right.
based on just some of those simple tweaks, or adding SMS and getting more people showing up to the webinar, or having a segmented experience on the back end
Right.
for those who took specific actions during the workshop. It's
Right.
like each little thing can add up to a much bigger thing. And it really is about micro tweaking and refinement. It's all about the refinements. So, if you were to work with a team like Kued, then you would see that you would have the framework created, and then those micro tweaks and refinements, which can be a big deal. But first you need the foundation, which is the first
Right.
part of it, and then after the foundation is those micro tweaks and
Right.
refinements.
100%.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think we covered every aspect of it.
I think so. I think we
Yeah.
did too.
Good. That's good.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We will come up.
Yeah.
I was putting together just a whole portfolio of just case studies that we have, and it's just so much, and what it's new leads and revenue and in growth and business growth. And, we're excited to share more of these successes and the stories with people, and show people how they can apply it to their own business, and how Kued could help them along that way. And we'll be having what we're doing actually is getting more promotion around these lives, because we're doing shorter versions and clips of what we're talking about here, and then those people are getting introed to the big live event, right, which is this one. And then people here are going to be able to get access and watch the actual trainings that we do on our webinars, where we collect your email, so we can show you how to collect other people's email. So that's pretty much it. So that's what we're covering. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. And Casey, I guess we'll talk soon if you want to catch up after this, because I know we're trying to get some marketing planning in place. We're jumping into easy and stuff, but I will end the stream here.
Okay. Sounds good. See you guys.